Today, I'm here in front of this wonderful 6A class to talk about Read, Study, Read. It's the way I want you to read your textbooks. Well, the way I want you to read your textbooks is called Read, Study, Read. The first thing we do is we preview what we are going to read. Now, to preview what we are going to read, that means to look at all of the titles, the main title, all of the little subtitles that are in boldface, and then we also look at any photographs and charts. Now, we do this before we read. And after we preview that, after we look at the subtitles and we get an idea of what we are going to read about, we read the first sentence of every paragraph in our book before we begin to read. And after we have read the first sentence of every paragraph in our assignment, then we read beginning to end of the assignment. No dictionaries, no stopping. Just read beginning to end as quickly as you can. And once we have read, then we study read. Sometimes we call it critical reading. Critical reading means to read to understand. So we have to sometimes study it. We want to understand what we read. We also want to be able to remember what we read. And finally, we want to think about what we read, and make an opinion about it. This is called critical reading, or sometimes I call it study reading. And when we do this kind of study reading to understand and remember and to make an opinion about it, this will help us to take quizzes and tests about what we read. It will help us write about what we read. It will help us talk about what we read. This is what we do in college. Reading is one of the most important things that we will do for every college class, because reading contains the information that we must know, that we must understand and remember. We really have to know it so that we can take tests about it, we can write about it, we can talk about it. That's what we do in college classes. And finally, when we have studied the reading so that we understand it and can remember it and give opinions about it, then we want to reread it. Maybe we will need to reread it a couple of times. And the rereading also helps us to remember and go to class so that we can participate in class, so that when the professor talks about the reading, you know the reading, so you can understand what the professor is talking about, and you can participate. So sometimes we call this reading process the pre-reading, the reading, the study reading or critical reading, and the rereading. Sometimes we call that the reading process heuristic. Have you heard that word? Heuristic? Heuristic means a step-by-step process to learn something. Heuristic helps us learn. It's a college word. It's from the Greek language. It's one of my favorite words. I use this word all the time. Now, maybe you want to look up heuristic. Maybe you want to Google it or use the dictionary. So you will spell it this way: Heuristic. That's called heuristic. Well, wonderful class of 6A students, most of whom are wonderful ladies. Only 3 guys. 3 lucky guys, I guess. Anyway, now that we have talked about the reading heuristic, I hope this will help you use this with everything that you read in class.